are these people?
We're gonna get a little darker. Oh man, this is. Why do they do this to me every week? Israel. What are we doing, guys? Now, I will say that thank Israel for introducing us to this incredible, brave writer over the last couple of weeks, Maryam Alaniz. She writes for Left Voice. She is a Columbia student. Last week, I read a letter that she wrote about her personal interactions and her hanging out with Mahmoud Khalil and what his abduction meant to her. It was really moving. She writes for Left Voice also. So this week, to recap, Israel, of course, has broken its ceasefire and has now started dropping bombs on families. And our news feeds, by the way, have started filling back up with dead kids and bleeding kids and crying parents holding maimed children, crying why. And this is on Trump. This is on Netanyahu. They are owning it. They're not ashamed of it.
Who are these people?
Thank you, Kate. Hey. I really appreciate that. And it's
Kate. Please don't let it go darker, she says.
Oh boy.
Well, I wish I could like oblige.
I do, but no, this one's viewer discretion is advised, I would say here.
Advised. Yeah.
Because first of all, Israel has broken its ceasefire and unleashed a new wave of violence on Gaza. The first night, they launched new attacks, killing over 400 Palestinians, breaking the already fragile ceasefire. Their relentless massacre makes it clear that its goal is the continued destruction of Palestine, that it was never about the hostages, and there's even conversation about the hostages' families suing Israel about not working to get them home.
Correct.
Right?
Amongst other things.
So look at that.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody's home. Somebody's living in there now. Because that's what's
and
left.
They probably booby-trapped that rubble on top of that. So
that's all that's left. And now they started dropping bombs on that. So Maryam writes that at least 400 Palestinians have been killed in Israel's latest assault on Gaza, with the death toll continuing to rise. And again, this was on Monday. This is the largest escalation since the ceasefire with Hamas was brokered on January 19th. Okay. Israel has committed numerous violations since then, including hindering essential aid and obstructing medical evacuations. The Gaza government media office reported 265 such breaches as of February 12th, with 118 Palestinians killed during the period.
Israel fat Al-Arir tweet about ceasefire.
No, but it's that everyone, the Palestinians cease and Israel fires.
Correct.
Israeli
members.
Israeli for R.I.P. Rafat, man.
Yeah, dude.
You just got me. Israeli forces also unleashed a new wave of attacks on West Bank following the brokering of the ceasefire, with the ongoing military operation displacing over 40,000 Palestinians, as we reported last week, and killing hundreds over the last 2 months. About the current assault on Gaza, Israeli officials claim they're targeting Hamas operatives, a narrative parroted, of course, by mainstream media, but the reality is clear. This is a continuation of a genocidal policy that's already slaughtered almost 50,000 people, including children, journalists, families seeking refuge, and what little remains of Gaza's shattered landscape. The same state that bombed refugee camps and obliterated entire neighborhoods and targeted media offices now expects the world to believe its rhetoric of precision strikes. These renewed attacks real precise. Though they precisely are destroying everything in their path. These renewed attacks come amid the already dire humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The blockade, coupled with relentless airstrikes, has left the enclaves what formerly was 2.3 million, but even Trump admits is now 1.8 million residents in a state of perpetual fear and deprivation. The suspension of essential goods, including food, medicine, and fuel, has intensified the suffering of a population already on the brink. And all we have to do is look at the Substack chat for the dissident to look at all the begging posts from all the Palestinians and the GoFundMes. It's absolutely beyond heartbreaking to see all of these people begging. And no way, I mean, there's no way that everyone can possibly help all these people.
No.
They also arrive in the context of U.S. airstrikes on Yemen and ongoing negotiations for what would have been the second phase of a ceasefire deal. But of course, we reported 6 weeks ago, there was never really a plan to execute the second part of that deal. It was all a ruse.
No.
The proposed
from the jump.
Yep.
He tried to tell people.
The proposed agreement would have seen Israel hypothetically committing to a permanent ceasefire in exchange for Hamas releasing the remaining living male hostages, both civilians and soldiers, in return for Palestinian prisoners, and they always omit that part. Far from taking steps toward peace, Israel has chosen more bloodshed, demonstrating once again that its goal is not security, but the continued destruction of Gaza, West Bank, and all of Palestine. Ceasefire talks were already on fragile ground. That's a nice way to say so. Before this latest round of bombings, the first phase was precarious at best, reflecting deep contradictions within Israel's political and military establishment. Netanyahu, despite wielding some of the most advanced weaponry in the world, failed to retrieve all hostages or completely eliminate Hamas as it would have liked to. And again, almost a year ago, I reported with you here on this show that Dave DeCamp from Anti-War had reported from the U.S. military that they're never getting rid of Hamas. Hamas is never going away, and what they've done here only solidifies a new generation of Hamas. As many as you kill, you've created another generation of Hamas worldwide on top of all of it, outside of Israel. So, even with Netanyahu's temporary political maneuvers, his inability to achieve decisive military success has complicated the second phase of the ceasefire, which involves negotiating who would govern Gaza in a situation where Hamas maintains its control. Again, there was never any intent for that. So that was a ruse. That was a, yeah, we'll get to that when we get to it. Just give us our first thing now. Right? There was never a plan for that. And again, a year ago, the Ynet article laid out the Gaza 2020-35 plan, not 2020, but 2035, which was that it would be a Dubai-like independent type of state that would be managed by a coalition of Israel and Saudi Arabia and a lot of the Abraham Accord nations, but primarily by Israel, and Israeli military would never leave. That was also part of it. All right. Meanwhile, back in the Hall of Injustice. Come on. I'm waiting.
You're waiting? Meanwhile, enter. No, without a space. And then.
Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
Thank you. Donald Trump, who certainly is the second or third in charge at the Legion of Doom behind Netanyahu and Miriam Adelson and maybe Peter Thiel, has openly embraced Israel's project of ethnic cleansing, declaring his desire to turn Gaza into a Riviera. His words lay bare the true agenda of Zionist expansion, the erasure of Palestinian existence. The Trump administration's reactionary policies are not only politically aiding Israel's far-right coalition, but also attempting to crush the growing global movement for Palestinian liberation. From criminalizing protesters to the attempted deportation of her friend, Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil, Trump and his allies within the universities were doing everything they can to silence those who stand in solidarity with Palestine. And we're going to talk about that next again. History has shown that as long as there's oppression in Palestine, there will be resistance. Even la resistance!
Yep.
The world cannot remain silent as Israel escalates its campaign of terror. Yes, they are terrorists, nor can it accept Trump's campaign of repression. Yes, he is repressing and also terrorizing Venezuelans, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. The spirit of the youth and workers who rose up last year in defense of Palestine must be revived. Even such. I'm sorry to kind of make levity, but I have to laugh at something here.
Yeah, we need it.
Zionism and imperialism have an insatiable appetite for violence, which must be put in check by the historic movement for Palestinian liberation. And I remember, and I'll never forget, one of the things that they do is they want to smile whenever they're being arrested. All right. Maryam, like she says, is a socialist journalist, activist, and a PhD student living in New York City. She's an editor for the international section of Left Voice. Follow her on Twitter. She's a badass. I'm a fan. I love her writing. Love to have her on sometime, have a conversation with her. This is the third or fourth week in a row that we've covered some of her stuff from Columbia University. Big fan. This concludes, finally, our Fuck Israel portion of the program. And we're definitely not getting remonetized for stuff like that. So if you are able to, out of means, please, please, I hate begging and I hate doing this.
Money, please.
That one. We could use some help. Cash App, Ko-fi, PayPal, even Substack if you must, but please try to do one of the other three if you can. The reason being that they don't take very many fees. We end up with the most possible money. If you super chat on my channel, you are able to. YouTube takes 30%. If you Rumble rant, they take 50%. Now, you could Rumble subscribe to the channel, the little red button that says subscribe with the little red gift. They give us all of that. So that's cool. You can do that. But again, Cash App, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network. And that worked. Use it this week. And thank you so much to Sean, and thank you so much to Kamishwari Kate, and thank you so much to Charlie Mack Friday night, and to Colin Care Bear, and everybody else that contributes. It's incredible. Thank you. It really helps, and it really helps, keeps us going. If you're able to, Cash App, $Indie News Network, ko-fi.com/Indie News Network, paypal.me/Indie News Network. That's with an IE. Support independent media. We need it more than ever. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
All people are afraid. No one knows what they're doing. Everything is getting worse. Some people deserve to die. Your money is worthless. No one is properly dressed. At least one of your children will disappoint you. The system is rigged. Your house will never be completely clean. All teachers are incompetent. There are people who really dislike you. Nothing is as good as it seems. Things don't last. No one is paying attention. The country is dying. God doesn't care. Shh.
Good night, everyone.
Ciao, baby.
No! We just fucking lost the stream!
You can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.